This is the theme for a show about food. They'll be chopping and dicing and simmering too. There'll be various ingredients mixed all together in various amounts that she doesn't quite measure. There's pots and there's pans and some knives and a sink, and once in a while an alcoholic drink. So watch when you can and you'll learn something new about spices and rices and some kind of stew. And this is the part where we tell you the name of the show.
Hello again, my name is Jen and I am a fat kid, and I want to share recipes with you that excite the fat kid in all of you. So I'm going to make today my Thai inspired soup, and I'm going to show you how to put that all together right now. I decided to make this recipe because I still had a bunch of ingredients left over from the Polynesian meatballs, so I wanted to use them up. We're trying to really use the food that we're buying instead of buying it and throwing out like it's a habit that we got into in the past. So I'm going to take you through everything you need for this recipe. First, I have just a regular old grocery store rotisserie chicken that I'm going to break down for you. If you can't find or get rotisserie chicken, you can always poach some chicken or roast it a little bit in the oven just to get it cooked up, and then shred it yourself if you can't get a rotisserie chicken. We also have some jumbo shrimp here, a pound or so. I'm using jumbo shrimp because it's easier in terms of cleaning and peeling the shrimp. You have to do it less, and you can cut the shrimp into bite-sized pieces that'll go through your soup and stretch it a little bit more. Then, of course, my wine, just a dry white wine. Again, use something that you love to drink, because when you cook it, you concentrate the flavor, and if it doesn't taste good in a glass, chilled, it's probably not going to taste good concentrated down in your recipe. I also have a Vidalia onion. I have some lemongrass paste. I couldn't get lemongrass when I placed my grocery order this time, so this is the best I could do. I really don't recommend using this. You can if you can't get lemongrass, but always fresh is better. I have some fresh ginger root, fresh garlic cloves, some Thai red curry paste, my Sazon, Goya Sazon Kanazafran. Again, if you have an intolerance to MSG, you don't want to use this. What you can use instead, if you have some saffron, which most people don't have in their house, but you can take a few threads and perfume it in some stock or water, and then add that with some cumin, coriander, and turmeric. And that'll give you about the same, bang for your buck in terms of what you're looking for your spices. We have some brown sugar, fish sauce, soy sauce, Japanese sesame oil, cilantro, scallions, lime, sriracha, chicken stock, red peppers, snap peas, some coconut milk. I wasn't able to find coconut cream, so I had to do the milk, but I definitely recommend spending the extra money to get the coconut cream. It makes it so silky, it's delicious. And then we have some water chestnuts because I love the texture it gives in the soup. I like to put some noodles in my soup. You can either leave this out or do it yourself. I'm using lo mein egg noodles, but you can use rice noodles or even thin spaghetti if you really want. What I do is cook them up separately according to the package instructions, and then toss them in a little oil and put them to the side. I don't like to put them directly into the soup because the noodles end up getting sort of waterlogged. And then I have some fresh bean sprouts. Please don't use canned because the taste that's in those preservatives will go through, and it's just not, and we're not cooking these are just for texture on top. We're also going to garnish with cilantro, lime, and scallion greens. I have some honey roasted peanuts because I love the sweetness and the crunch. You just put it in a little baggie, smash it up, and you sprinkle it over top for garnish. It's delicious. So now I'm going to start by breaking down my chicken, and I'll show you how to do that. And this is the part where I show you how to break down that grocery store rotisserie chicken. I'm gonna do this in a straight up just barbaric way because that's how I roll. You can be dainty if you like, but I just don't have any desire to be dainty doing this. So what I do is I just literally, because they're rotisserie, they come apart really easily. So I just remove this whole cavity and I take the legs off. They come apart really easily. And then I save this part because there is some meat once you get through the fat and the skin. I try to use everything when I break down a chicken, everything I can. I don't bother with the wings. Sometimes I save them for my husband because he likes them. Today I'm not gonna do that. Chuck in the wings. But you can use the little drumettes if they're still attached, and then just break apart this breast cavity and take the chicken off here and remove here. Take the skin off of all your pieces first, and then you can rip it apart, or you can take it and chop it up, put it aside and reserve it because we're gonna add the soup about when it's time to serve. So I'm gonna break that down and I will come back and show you what I'm gonna do with my shrimp. Here's my shredded chicken. One rotisserie chicken yields actually a whole bunch. A couple of things that I wanted to mention. When you break down your chicken, make sure that you remove all of that fat and cartilage and the skin. It won't taste good, and it's not a good texture in your mouth. I also wanted to say I break down the chicken in such a way with my hands because it enables me to go through it and make sure I don't have those bits of bone or cartilage that your knife may have cut through and you didn't know about. You could easily make this a vegetarian recipe. You can bulk up the veggies. You can use zucchini or carrots or whatever you like. You could also use tofu or chickpeas if you want a protein in there. But it's a pretty hearty soup. And I think it would translate well into a vegetarian dish. So you can make it that way as well. But let me know how it comes out. Anyway, I'm gonna show you now what I have to do with the shrimp. I'm gonna peel it, devein it, cut it, and put it aside. And then I'm gonna take our shrimp shells and I'll show you what to do from there. When I use shellfish like shrimp and lobster, I like to reserve the shells, put them aside in some cheesecloth, and infuse them into whatever broth or sauce that I'm making because they have so much flavor and I hate to waste them. So you have your raw shrimp, you just pinch the tail to remove the tail part, put that in there, and then unwrap the rest of the shell. Get that in your cheesecloth. After you peel your shrimp, you want to flip it on its back here, and you see this little tract going down the bottom of the shrimp. I'm going to remove that. I don't like it there. I don't know how many people know it's there when they cook their shrimp, but I'm obsessed with getting rid of it, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have just a paring knife here. I'm going to run that down the length of the tract and kind of coax it with the knife, and then I'm going to take a little napkin and pull it out, and now your shrimp is clean. You can just cut it into 3 pretty little bite-sized pieces. Here are my shrimp shells. I lined my bowl with cheesecloth just to make it a little easier to wield, so we're just going to tie it up like a little package. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's not going to be seen. It's going to be thrown away when we're done with it. So you tie it into a little pouch, and I'm going to show you what I do with the wine. I'm adding my wine to a medium saucepan. On like medium heat, I want to get this to a simmer. I'm going to use about 2 cups of good white wine. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to take my little shrimp pouch and put it in here as well. Don't let this come to a boil, but do let it come to a pretty decent simmer. I'm gonna cover it so that happens faster, and it's gonna infuse the delicious flavor of the shrimp shells into the wine, and it's gonna be a nice sort of layer of flavor in your soup. So while our shrimp and wine are working on the stove, I'm just gonna start chopping up our veggies. I wanted to say, I really want this to eventually become a more audience participation kind of a thing. I would always appreciate your suggestions, your own recipes, tips and tricks. I'm always happy to learn new stuff. I think that it just helps me along the way be a more confident cook. I also, eventually, I think I want to live stream this if we can figure it out, so that I can take questions or see comments while I'm doing this stuff. I hope you love these recipes because they are near and dear to my heart and my family loves them. So I just want to share them and I want you to share yours with me. I think people who hold on to recipes for dear life with secret ingredients and never share, what's that about, really? Like, sincerely, what's wrong with you? Anyway, I'm going to continue chopping the veggies and get them all set up. I'm not going to show you. I think you know how to cut an onion. But I'm going to show you what I do with my snap peas and my red peppers, and then I'm going to get working on starting the base of our soup. So I have my red peppers here that I've chopped up and my drained can of sliced water chestnuts. I'm just going to show you a couple of these fresh snap peas. I do recommend fresh because the frozen will just disintegrate eventually. It can't hold up to this recipe. It turns to mush in the soup with the heat. So you take your fresh snap peas and you make sure the little sprouts are taken off right here on this end. You just pull those off. And for this, I like to just take the snap pea and cut it on a bias so that it's a nice little pretty bite in the soup with all of the other veg. So I'm just gonna finish cutting those up. And then I think we're gonna start to build our soup. So let me take care of all of this and I'll be right back. So I have a little olive oil in the bottom of my pan and the pan is heated up a little bit on about medium heat. I'm gonna add my onions. You want a little sizzle initially, but not too much. So you wanna turn it down so your onions don't start to burn. Then I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. Not a lot because we're gonna be using soy sauce in this recipe. A little bit of black pepper. Ooh, that's the wrong way. It's a little bit of black pepper because it hits your tongue in a different place, I think, than sriracha does or even curry. So we're gonna saute our onions until they're translucent. So our onions are looking pretty good here. So I'm just gonna start building the rest of the soup. We're gonna first add our ginger. And we just peeled that with a spoon again and put it through a microplane to get this nice pasty consistency. It's much nicer in the recipe when you take a bite so you don't get the fibers in your mouth. I'm gonna add our garlic here. We also put that through the microplane so this consistency is really nice. You don't get any chunks of anything. It's just nice flavor in your soup. And you wanna cook that until it's fragrant. And you wanna start adding your lemongrass. Again, I prefer fresh. I wasn't able to get that in my grocery order, so I'm just using this paste. I don't really recommend using the pre-cut pastes and herbs and garlics and all of that because I don't like the preservatives and the flavor that it puts into the food. All right, now I'm gonna put in my red curry paste and get that going. Okay, and I'm gonna post the recipe along with the video so you have the measurements and how much you need of everything. So we're just gonna work that. This for me is kind of like tomato paste. When I cook pasta and marinaras and Sunday gravies and all of that, I like to rust the tomato paste with the onions just to kind of bring out the flavor. Gives it that extra little something. I do the same thing with curry paste. I just like, I don't know, I like the way it sort of transforms into something a little bit different than you expect. So I'm also gonna add my favorite thing in the world, my Sazon con Azafran by Goya. Throw that little doohickey in there and your brown sugar. I'm gonna put in some fish sauce. Very funky stuff. A little is gonna go a long way, so don't go nuts. Just a little kind of dribble. There you go. You don't want, that's gonna make it a little sour. So you don't want that to go crazy because you're also gonna add your lime juice. Then our soy sauce. Get that going there. We have, again, our Japanese sesame oil. Little goes a long way, but it's really delicious in Asian cooking. I also want to say that most of these recipes are probably not going to be die-hard authentic. They're going to be my take on things. Some will be authentic, I think, enough But I don't want anybody getting mad because this isn't the way it's supposed to be done. I like playing and I like creating, and I don't necessarily care for the rules. All right, so I'm gonna add now a little bit of sriracha. If you don't like spice, no problem. Just adjust it to whatever your family likes in terms of your heat index. I'm gonna put a good amount in there because my family does like it spicy, and I don't find the red curry paste that spicy, so I'm just adding to it. I'm gonna add our cilantro and our scallions. Get those all in there. I'm gonna cook this up. Just kind of mix it all in, get it off the sides of the pan, and just make sure everything's getting incorporated. And then we're gonna put in a little squeeze of lime juice. I'm not gonna use the whole lime, just gonna use about half of it because I don't want this to be too tangy. I have the fish sauce in there already. It's a good way to ruin a dish. All right, I'm gonna add my 2 boxes of chicken broth or stock, whatever you have. If you're ambitious, you can make your own stock. You can save the carcass of your rotisserie chicken and use that to infuse into some wine or some water or whatever you're using. But here I'm using chicken broth because it is what I have. I'm just gonna take my tongs here and pick up our shrimp. I'm gonna take another pair and squeeze the rest of the broth that's kind of stuck in the cheesecloth out of the shrimp. Make you get all of it there. Okie dokie. And put that aside and put that in with your broth. You're gonna turn up your heat a little bit because you want to get a good rolling simmer. And once that's all set, we're gonna go ahead and add the veg and the rest of the ingredients and finish our soup up. So while I'm waiting for the soup to be ready for the veg and the protein and all of that, I'm gonna take my honey roasted peanuts. Now, if you have someone who has a peanut allergy, you can always use a different kind of nut, whatever they're, if it's tree nuts, whatever the case is. You don't have to use peanuts, you don't have to use honey roasted, and you certainly don't have to use this at all if you prefer not to. But I love the sweetness of the honey and the crunch of the nuts, and it just makes it so Thai for me. Like, I love those flavors in Thai food. Spicy and creamy and crunchy and salty. Who doesn't love that? But again, hello, Fatkid, and proud to be. So I'm just gonna put this in a little ramekin and get everything ready for when we're ready to garnish our soup. Perfect. I love some a little chunky. You can smash them down to whatever consistency works for you. So I am now gonna head back to the soup, taste it for seasoning, and finish it up for you. Our soup has been simmering for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm just gonna taste it now for seasoning and make sure I'm happy with where it's at. That's really good. It's spicy, it's salty, it's a little tangy and strange. I think it needs just a little bit more of the sesame oil, so I'm gonna add that. Other than that, I think it's really good. So I'm just gonna add a little more sesame oil. And I'm gonna add our veg. I and my family like our veg to be on the crunchier side, even in soups. I don't want the veggies to lose their texture and their integrity, but you can certainly leave it a few minutes longer. I'm just gonna give it like 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna add our coconut cream and our protein. So I let my veggies cook for a few minutes, and they're where I want them. Now you're just gonna turn down your heat a little bit, and you're gonna add your coconut milk or coconut cream. Again, I couldn't get coconut cream, so I'm adding a can of coconut milk here. You do whatever you like. I'm just gonna mix that in a little bit. This is gonna give it that creamy, luxurious, like sweet something extra. It makes it so decadent. I could eat this with no protein, and I'm a person who puts meat in my dessert. So there you have it. So we're gonna just like kind of let this all melt together, and then I'm gonna add my protein, my chicken and my shrimp, and we're gonna serve. Our coconut cream is all nicely melted in, so I'm gonna add our shredded chicken. You can use anything you like, again, turkey, chicken, shrimp, whatever you like, even beef. I would thinly slice a ribeye and add it at the end so the broth actually cooks it if you're gonna do that. I'm gonna turn up the heat just a little bit, stir in the chicken, and then we're gonna put our shrimp bites in. You wanna watch these very carefully because shrimp cooks very quickly and you don't want these kind of, I don't know, rubber balls in your soup. Nobody likes a rubber ball except a dog. So we're gonna put this shrimp right in and stir it up, get it well incorporated. You're just gonna wanna watch the shrimp, and when it starts to curl and it's all pink and opaque, it is ready. So we're just gonna do that. Doesn't this look so delicious? I can't wait to eat this. Beautiful. Okay, so I think our shrimp is probably getting there. It's tough to see. No, we're still not there. So we're just gonna cook it for a couple extra minutes. Don't walk away from it. Just keep it moving and keep watching your shrimp. This is real life problems, people. What are you gonna do? All right, now our shrimp looks pretty good. So I am gonna show you how to plate it next, and then we're gonna eat. So I have our pre-cooked noodles that we coated in a little bit of olive oil so they won't stick together and set aside. You can put that in a little freezer bag in your fridge and take out just as much as you want for your bowl of soup and put the hot soup over it. It reheats the noodles without completely massacring them. So here's our delicious soup. We're gonna just put that over top. I'm gonna get a bunch of the good stuff first to make sure it's a generous serving. And then I'm just gonna fill it with this delicious broth, garnish it, and that's gonna be where the fat lady sings, people. I'm gonna serve our meal now. I'm gonna garnish it up. I like to put some nice fresh bean sprouts on there and some pretty little cilantro leaves. Again, you can leave that out if you don't like cilantro. A lot of people don't. Some of those green scallion tops. A little bit of lime in there. Oops. And some of our crushed peanuts for an awesome texture. I go a little heavy-handed. Then, I like to serve it with some nice crispy garlic naan. And that is my take on my Thai-inspired soup. I hope you love it. If you like the recipes that you see here, or even if you just want to be cool, that's fine too. But please like it and share it and comment and suggest and just pass it along. I really just want to help everyone celebrate their own personal fat kid. Enjoy.